Hello and welcome back to the Birdcage Season 2. Technically did an episode in the summer, but this, I'll say, for now, episode 1. The Kansas Jayhawks play basketball this week. That's why I'm joined alongside Emmett Swendseid, who is a Kansas Jayhawk writer for Kansas Sports Illustrated. Emmett, how are you doing?
Doing great. I mean, it's great to be back. I made a couple appearances last season. Always fun to talk ball. How are you doing?
Doing good. Also, probably should have mentioned you're one of my good friends, so didn't take much convincing to get you on the
No,
podcast today.
always around to talk ball.
Let's not waste any time. It was Big 12 Media Day today, so we have plenty to talk about.
For
Let's start
sure.
with the Big 12 preseason poll. The poll came out a few days ago, I want to say.
Yeah. Late last week, I believe. Tell
Yeah,
about the John Rothstein one or the John Rothstein post. Yeah.
man, we saw a lot of, I don't know, is this the coaches poll?
This was the one I'm looking at is just the Big 12 preseason poll per release.
So it was the
John
preseason
Roth.
poll that was released
Yeah.
that saw the Houston Cougars clearly the number one team in the
Which
Big
is
12.
fair.
Yeah, what are your
100%.
thoughts on, we'll start there. What are your thoughts on Houston being the number one team in the Big 12? Pretty like with a big wide margin between them and the number two team.
Yes, I tell people this a lot. Well, I told you actually earlier today off camera. They 100% should deserve it because they came in in 2023, and ever since they got into that conference, they have dominated. It's not even been close. They were runner-ups. They're the runner-up in, I think, what was that? 2020, yeah, 2024 for the Big 12 championship, and they win it last year. Emmanuel Sharp is the tournament MVP, and they bring him back. They bring Uzan back. They have a top three recruitment class for 2025. Rightfully so, they should be number one. It's not close. They haven't, no one else has really messed with them in this conference. Unfortunately, Kansas Jayhawks haven't either. So I think it's clear that they should be number one.
And I feel like you almost even left out the most deciding factor in all of that is the fact that their head coach is Kelvin Sampson.
Yeah, well, I
It's
knew
like
we'd get to it later, but yeah, that's a pretty big,
it's one of those teams that you're just like they're going to be good. They have a high ceiling, but they also have a high floor, which
phenomenal coach.
I think Houston, if they're not people's predictions to win the tournament already, I mean, they could dang well be right back in the championship game in
No,
April.
no doubt, no
No
doubt.
doubt about it. Now let's talk about number two, because number two were the BYU Cougars, who are headlined by star freshman AJ DeBansa, as well as Richie Saunders, Keba Keita, and the transfer from Baylor, Rob Wright. So,
Which
Evan,
is a
what are your
huge
opinions?
get.
Yeah, what are your opinions on BYU?
I get it. That team is good. Devance is the real deal. 30 against Nebraska. I mean, he just stuffed the stat sheet. I think he had like three steals, a block, like he just did it all. But they lose me at number two. Do I think they're top three? Yes. Do I think they're top five? Yes. I think they can interchange. I think Texas Tech is number two. I think when you bring someone back like JC Toppin, who is the Big 12 newcomer of the year from last year, Big 12 player of the year. Someone of that high of a caliber, I think him alone puts them at number two. And you'll remind me, I'm blanking on, I believe it's the freshman's
Chris
name. They're
Anderson?
calling him, that's the guy. They are gonna be special. And
Yeah, Texas Tech is
I
a
think,
good team.
and I'm saying Tech of all teams because one, I think you would agree, but also they're listed at number three. I think you got to flip them.
Yeah, that's not crazy at all. I think BYU right now is the talk of the town just because of the roster they have and their headliner, AJ. They're good. They're really good. We're not saying they're not, but Grant McCaslin, right? Yeah.
Yeah, some
Yeah. I mean, they got a team down in Lubbock too. A team that's really, really good. A team that didn't make a Final Four, but made an Elite Eight. Is that correct?
yes.
Off the top of my head, I believe. Because who did they lose to in the tournament? They lost to Florida in the Elite Eight.
Yeah.
And then,
You lose to the champions.
yeah, no shame in that. And then the Arizona Wildcats come in at number four, Iowa State number five, Arkansas Jayhawks number six, Baylor seven, Cincy eight, K-State nine, and blah, 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 blah,
And
blah.
the rest are
The rest of them, yeah. not really, not really entertaining games right there, but the Big 12's loaded.
Yes.
It's loaded. And it has the talent with AJ, with Darren, with Rob Wright, with JT Toppin. It has the depth of teams this year where I genuinely see 10 teams competing most games, most nights. Um, yeah, like every game, I think it can be a real brawl in the Big 12, and you don't really see that in a lot of other conferences around the country.
I really think you could argue, because I used to say that they're the best conference. I'm grown enough to admit it's the SEC, but
Do you think so? You think
I think
this year?
this year, I don't know, but at least last year, I know I had
Last
to admit
year,
it a couple times on the
last year
podcast,
was
the
the
SEC was
SEC.
a gauntlet.
Yeah,
This year it can honestly be a toss-up, but I don't. I hear people still mention the AAC or ACC. They're
no,
third. Whatever you say, they're third.
they're
They have a really good, what, top three or four with Duke, UNC, NC
Louisville.
State, Louisville, and
Yeah,
UNC's the
they
last
got
of those.
five
UNC's
teams.
the
You can
last of
argue
those.
Clemson. Clemson will probably be decent once again. They always kind of
But you
are.
put you put that top five against with current BYU, Tech, Arizona, Iowa State, Kansas, even Baylor, even
There's
Scott Drew is
six
Scott Drew.
25
He
teams in
lost
the
all
Big.
the play. He lost every player, and he still brought back a team.
Yeah, I mean, there's six top 25 teams in the Big 12. There are three top 10 teams in the Big 12. The conference is loaded.
Yeah,
And once you kind of get to the Kansas State, TCU, West Virginia mark, that's kind of where there's a little bit of a fall off. But going on the road to Colorado, going on the road to Arizona State, going on the road to Utah, as Kansas saw last year, that's tough. Not an easy place to play.
yeah. It's not. It won't be easy at all.
What we did talk about was the fact that BYU got a first place vote and Arizona got a first place vote. So Houston was not a unanimous number one, but Texas Tech didn't get a vote.
Which is crazy to me. I also think that Houston probably should have been unanimous number one, but Tech not getting a vote, that almost seems disrespectful. It almost sounds like I'm coming across as a Texas Tech fan now. But they are good.
They're a good ball team. They did a lot of good work in the transfer portal. I know they lost. Ooh, what was it? Darion Williams
Yep, to NC State.
to NC
Speaking of the
State. But
ACC.
Tech, I mean, if you're gonna give Arizona a vote, you might as well just give that vote to Texas Tech. But
That's
I
what
agree with you. I think
I
Houston easily should have been the unanimous number one. You'll always have some guys who try to be rogue, especially when
yeah.
you're voting there. Let's talk about preseason all Big 12 team. So the Big 12 does it differently. They just release a team with a bunch of players' names on it, and they don't do the first team, second team, third team.
Which I feel they should. I
I think
kind of
so
like
too.
the I kind of like the first, second, third teams.
So do I, because then we can compare them at the end of the year rather than look at a list of 15 guys on the list. But let's talk about some of those guys that were unanimous
But it is a loaded
preseason all
list, to
Big
say the
12
least.
players. We have AJ DeBanza, number one, number two overall player in the class, regardless of what site you look at. Then you have Milos Uzan, who decided to come back to Houston after initially declaring. Then you have
Yup.
Darren Peterson, again, flip-flop him with the Bansa, one and two in the class. And then the only other unanimous selection was JT Toppin. What do you think about those four players in particular? And then in regards of the rest of the list, how close, who do you think the next almost unanimous player should have been?
I don't even think that's crazy because I think if you're doing first, second, third team, that's your four right there. Now a fifth, I feel like you can go either way. Emmanuel Sharp is super good.
Yeah.
Um, and here's the other thing. I'm not sure how it completely works. I don't know how much of an interesting look it would be since he's not ever played in the Big 12. But we can't cross off PJ Haggerty. He's ridiculous.
You can't. Was he
He
a first teamer
he will
last
light
year?
up the stat sheet.
He was an All-American a year ago.
Yes. He was, I think, if not the highest, what, second or at least top three highest scorer in college basketball last year, 23, 22 a game.
Absolutely. I mean, PJ Haggerty
Memphis.
was the best transfer guard. And I made a joke about
And
it when he hit the portal because he kind of came in with some requests. And I made a joke like, if he's still here by the end of the year, he's going to end up at K-State. We saw how that happen with Coleman Hawkins. And he did. So
which is
I think He's the best shooting guard in the country, and now he's on the
Yeah.
Wildcats. So you're sitting there and you're like, this team of preseason all Big 12 players is absolutely loaded. I mean, Tamin Lipsey, you can't make an
You
argument
can't
of
even
him
forget
being the
about
best
him.
shooting
He's
guard in college basketball because he's not, right? Braden Smith has that on lock.
Oh, no question. He's
But Tamin
he's
Lipsey is probably a top three player in his position, if not five. Tamin Lipsey, he's good at basketball. PJ Haggerty is the best shooting guard in the country. And he's not even a unanimous selection. Chris Anderson, we saw how that was a year ago, and now he's back. Him and JT Toppin are probably the best duo in college basketball.
yeah, if
If not
not one of
college
them.
basketball, at least the Big 12. AJ DeBanco, Richie Saunders, you can make arguments, sure. I'll
You
listen to
can,
them.
but Richie's gonna lose his looks, and this is just how it's gonna go because he's still. I don't even think raw is the right term. Maybe it's the freshman in him. Peterson is gonna over or Peterson, sorry. DeBance is gonna overshoot. We kind of saw it in the Nebraska game. There's a couple sequences where it's rough, and that's just the freshman experience.
Yeah.
I think even as good as Richie is, I hope it's not true. I do think he lose. I do think his stats go down a little bit. I think because DeBance has always been the guy that wants to make sure he gets his shots. And it's not crazy to have the offense go through him, but I just hope that that team doesn't forget about Saunders and what he can do.
Absolutely not. Richie Saunders is going to have to be that leader for that BYU team that I think is going to be pretty dang good. I know they lost their exhibition, and we'll talk about exhibitions a little later, but I think that that BYU team can really, really compete for the Big 12. I think right now my percentage of Houston winning the Big 12 would probably be something like 80% Houston wins, 20% somebody else wins.
I was gonna say around somewhere
I mean, like
80s.
that's where I'm at. It's preseason, I know, but that's just where I'm at.
Yeah, I
And
don't even think that's a crazy take. I think majority of the people will agree with that, which is kind of crazy to say, but
and a
that's just
year
the
ago,
reality of it.
And a year ago, we were saying the same thing about KU. So who knows? Maybe
That is
something will
true.
happen. Kansas,
We
the past
quickly
few years,
learn.
on paper, has had the best team in the Big 12, and it hasn't panned out. So we're going to actually have to see how this unfolds throughout the year. But it is getting me excited for some Big 12 basketball.
Oh, for sure.
And speaking of Big 12 basketball, Media Day was today. Now, I didn't find any real clips or anything that jumped off the page for me. I listened to some Kansas clips. I listened to some stuff from BYU in particular, because that's a team that just really excites me and I'm curious about. And one
Hmm.
thing that I will say is AJ DeBanca took to the podium today during the players' press conference and mentioned how he built a lot of bad habits in high school, especially on
I think
defense.
it was talking about to the freshmen.
Well, would
You
you?
saw you saw some of it in the Nebraska game on
Yeah,
the defensive side,
yeah,
going off.
you did, right? But again, it's an exhibition. You're not really
Yeah,
going
you
to.
can't overreact that.
Now, I didn't get a chance to listen to Kansas's players interview, but I'm pretty confident Darren Peterson didn't say something like that, did he?
No, he said he actually. I remember seeing. He said, and I know like it's nothing crazy to think about because every player is going to
Yeah.
say it, and you hope they say it. But he just said anything short of a ring is a disappointment to him,
Yeah.
which is good. I mean, that's obviously everyone's going to say that, but
Now, my
once again, I
argument for
would rather
Darren
hear that
Peterson
than
right
say,
there,
yeah, I built bad habits in high school.
I mean, and he's learning, right?
Yeah,
That's
at
probably
least
the
he's
best thing you're
honest.
supposed to say. AJ DeBanca is going to be criticized in a brighter light than Darren Peterson
Yeah,
because of the number next to the BYU name. That's just how it's going to be. And he's going to have to live with that. And
that's not
going
crazy.
to media day saying, hey, I have a lot of bad habits from playing in high school, probably not what you're supposed to do by any means. Probably
Yeah,
not what you're supposed to do. But other
but
than that, there wasn't a whole lot of stuff. And I know we're going to talk about Kansas stuff in particular coming
and
up.
that's yeah. Now I'll save that for later. It does because it made me think on the top of my head because we just mentioned Houston, and
Mhm.
then obviously we're gonna be talking about Kansas. Calvin Sampson had some good things to say about him,
Yeah,
but we can save
ab-
that for later.
absolutely. Absolutely. The next thing I wanted to talk about before we get into more of a Kansas only breakdown were your thoughts about some exhibition games. Iowa State and BYU both lost. to the two teams in the state of Nebraska. Roll Jays. I'm
Your
not even gonna
favorite
say
team.
Goskers,
Yeah. We
whatever.
know they lost to your favorite team.
But then another Big 12 team, Houston, falls to Ole
Yes.
Miss
In a secret
in a
scrimmage,
secret scrimmage that we don't have a box score for.
really.
How secret of a scrimmage did even happen?
That's what I'm saying. That's what I don't get. I mean, it's
It's a
cool
real
to
world
see.
where
It's
Kelvin
cool to
Sampson
think
never
about.
played that game.
You think he really tried? No.
No,
And that's what I don't get. I don't get the difference between if you're already going to play some exhibitions, what's this secret scrimmage stuff? And then it's not even secret because
people
the
find out.
story gets posted. And who's telling these insiders that? I mean, I know insider works, but there's no way that Chris Beard's out there messaging Joe Tipton, yo, we just smoked Houston in a secret scrimmage. Post that and put AJ Store as the cover image.
Could you imagine if AJ Storr bounced back today? I think Kansas fans
He
would.
will. He will. It's just how it's
He
gonna go.
probably will.
How the game goes.
Absolutely.
Because he wasn't the first option
He
at
wasn't even the second
KU.
option at
He
KU.
wasn't the second. And Chris Beard pulled a Bill Self with Darren Peterson and said, "Here's the keys. You got him. Let's see what
Yeah,
you do."
absolutely.
He's
So,
and he even said it, and it's obvious. It's obvious that you'd want to see that, but he said he's like, "I'm trying to get him back to his Wisconsin self and better,
yeah,
and he needs the
absolutely.
offense."
I mean, his Wisconsin self was pretty dang good.
It was,
It just required him to have the ball in his hands a whole bunch. But other than that, absolutely. Why wouldn't you?
yeah.
So up until this point, the Big 12 0-3 in exhibition games. Well, they beat Michigan, who's a top 10 team in the country. Cincinnati beat
Which,
Michigan.
yeah,
Um, Pretty much where I'm trying to get at is what do you make of these games? Do you think the sky is genuinely falling for some of these teams, or does it raise any questions or concerns you have, or are you just rubbing it off as exhibition game?
it's tough because it's the magic of college basketball. Like obviously there's gonna be upsets that happen throughout the regular season. So it's fun to think that it's already happening. But at the same time, I'm kind of back and forth. One, I don't think what I try to think of is I don't think you can look too much into them. But at the same time, that's your time to practice. That's your time to see what works and what doesn't work.
Absolutely.
I still think it can set a reputation for the team though.
Yeah.
Obviously, I was taking smoke to your Blue Jays. Obviously, Creighton's good. Lipsey's still out. He's questionable for even their home opener next week. But it's more the fact that it's just I'm kind of blanking on where I was trailing here, but it's kind of like it says
Anything can
reputation.
happen.
That's what I was talking about. I was talking about Kansas last year. We thought they were gonna be good on paper. Bill Self, we have a team you absolutely love. Not true, but they got killed to Arkansas. And I remember I think I told you and I told our buddies, I'm like, it's nothing. We're good. We have a loaded roster. And what happened? As the season went on, it got more painful and more painful. So
Yeah,
I
there
think
were
it can
stretches
set
of
some
that.
sort of reputation, but I don't think you can lose too much sleep over it.
And there were stretches of that season where you're sitting there and you're like, wow.
It
You just, I mean, the BYU, the Utah road trip in general,
was the worst series span of time for KU basketball I've ever seen in my life.
absolutely brutal. There was nothing good that we were looking forward to for sure. Now we're back to talk strictly Kansas basketball. First and foremost, let's talk about this exhibition game on Friday. I know we'll be running board for K or KJHK, but Kansas basketball is back on Friday.
Finally. It's weird
Finally.
to say that after 2 rough years, but this team, I think whether they win or lose will be exciting to watch. The
Okay.
pace
Yeah.
is different. The pace is different.
Yeah.
The style of play will be different. It's not going to be center oriented. Flory's good.
It,
He's improved, but it's not going to be okay, give it to Hunter and go. We have guys that can get downhill, and we have lob threats,
yeah. This team is very, very different from the past few seasons.
which I think will be good.
And
I
I'm
think it'll
excited.
be
It's almost a new era of Kansas basketball. Bill Self announced the starting lineups today at Media Day. Cole Rosario, Darren Peterson, Trey White, Melvin Council, and Flory. An interesting thing I noticed, there wasn't an El Marco in there.
Which I was, do I think he should start? Maybe. I definitely thought he would. I think Self kind of mentioned early on in the summer that I think he was heavily considering him because he
Yeah.
likes his veterans. But I think it's tough because he likes his veterans. He's definitely made a lot of improvement per Bill Self, but he hasn't played last year. You know, um, Darren Peterson, he
Yeah.
didn't have to take a year off. He hasn't played college basketball yet, but he
Mhm.
hasn't taken a year off, and that's not his fault. It's not diss to Marco. I'm sure he'll easily find his way back into the rotation. That's just how it goes.
Absolutely. What I noticed, four players in the starting lineup against Louisville were not on the team 12 months ago. So you're sitting there and you're
New
like,
era of college
this
basketball.
team is just, it's different from a year ago. This team apparently, ooh, I just bumped my knee on my table. That hurt.
That's
But
the word.
we'll talk about it later with the stuff that Calvin Sampson said. But it's kind of nerve-wracking. This was a Kansas team picked to finish sixth in the Big 12. And we have a guy on our team who has been compared to like Jesus Christ.
He was named like I think they said he's like the most polished player of the past decade.
That's big
Now,
shoes to fill.
that's a great, but
High expectations.
someone said this earlier that I was talking to, and it was a good. It's just interesting to think about because obviously, if college basketball is based off your best player or one player, I think we would be national champions, but it's not. Obviously, that's
And
not
so
how it ever goes,
if you take
and
Derek Peterson off of this Kansas team, what do you think their preseason ranks?
that's what I'm saying. I
In
don't
the
even
Big
know. Are
12,
they
are they
ranked?
like 12th in the conference?
Like it's he has big shoes to fill. I think he will fill them for the most part. And that's where it becomes scary, going back to what you were saying. Is this team wasn't on Kansas, but at least they still have some experience to an extent. You
Yeah.
have you have Melvin Council, who's become a fan favorite with his dog mentality. He's got he's got experience. Obviously, Trey White has experience, committed to the staff. And what was that? 29? No, not 2019, obviously not. Was committed to the staff at KU
18.
before he made, yeah, I was way, I don't know why I said that. Was committed to the staff before he made his tours to
USC.
USC, Louisville, Illinois.
Mhm.
The one thing I want to highlight though is because he has received a ton of buzz. People have been talking about him all day. Is that man Cole Rosario? Obviously, before I saw that what the starters were, I saw that someone asked Self at Media Day about Cole Rosario. Obviously, all good things to say. And then threw in the fact that Cole Rosario will start against Louisville and will continue to be a starter until otherwise noted.
Yeah, we'll talk about these secondary-esque players a little bit later. I'm just concerned with this next topic we'll touch on. What's the floor and ceiling of this Kansas team, in your opinion?
It's tough because once again, I know last year we were super high on them. And I think that it's not a diss to us because I think that's crazy to not look at that roster on paper and be like, how can you not be high on them?
Exactly.
Because Zeke Mayo obviously he had that hometown chip to him. And then how can you not say that a player like Rylan Griffin, who was part of that Final Four team and lit the court up from three, and AJ Storr, we're gonna have that poor of seasons.
Yeah.
Hunter Dickinson, obviously still an All-American, but can't do it all by himself. DeJuan Harris, say what you want.
Yeah.
It's nice. I will say this, I did because there are receipts of me being a DeJuan fan, but I will say going from someone that is scared to shoot the ball when he could decently shoot it, not crazy, but when he was
Yeah, he
open, he
wasn't
hit
going to blow your
the
socks
opportunity.
off, but
We're going to Darren Peterson,
yeah,
which is, and then we're going to Taylor Kinney. We
it's
have a guy that's scared to shoot the ball, and then we get the back-to-back number one point guards in the country.
yeah, it's going to be different. Then that's just the facts of the matter. It's going to be different. Kelvin
And
Sampson wants to see Kansas be great again. You want to touch on that? You brought this to my attention, so I'll let you talk about it.
yeah, for sure. And I was going to mention it earlier, but I figured we get into just KU when we were talking about Houston, how great they are. It's nice to see that KU still gets their flowers. Kelvin Sampson touched at media day. He said we need Kansas to be great. Don't get it twisted. They are the cowbell of the Big 12.
Yeah. Big
And
prop from Calvin Sampson. I mean, his team has whooped our team
who is running the conference
the
right
past
now?
2 years, but it's true. I mean, Kansas historically is one of the best,
When you
is,
think of that Big 12, you think of Kansas.
yeah, Kansas is one of the best teams in the entire country historically. And they just haven't had that kind of success the past 3 seasons since
And
our
Kelvin Sampson had
since
something
our
to do with
run
it.
in what was that,
22,
2022 when we won the national
the
championship.
year
But they
before we
just
got
haven't
here,
had that kind of
unfortunately.
success in a little bit. Now,
Yeah,
I think the ceiling for this Kansas team, if
okay,
everything
going back to
clicks,
years.
can be Final Four. I think this team can be a Final Four team. I do. I think this can be a team that can win the Big 12. The floor of this team is also very low.
Yeah, yeah.
I
A
like
plus kids, the
Darren
kids,
Peterson's great, but he's 18 years old. He's getting compared to Kobe Bryant. And I
which is
just don't know
crazy.
who's going to be the secondary leader and scorer and playmaker for this Kansas team. And it just kind of scares me because we've seen how the past 2 years have worked out with Bill Self. And let's not get it twisted. This team looks dramatically different because he struck out on some of those big names in the portal. He struck out on the
Which
Davion Lee. He struck out on the Keyshawn Hall. Like he struck.
Darren Williams, we had it. We had it in the bag from what it sounded like. He had made many visits to Kansas, and then he
So,
goes to NC State.
so it's like that's my argument is people say, well, we didn't go the portal route this year. We didn't go the portal route this year necessarily because we struck
Just
out
look
on
what
the big
happened
names.
the past 2 years. The
Yeah,
portal didn't work for
we
us.
struck out on the big names. We tried to go the portal route again, and it didn't really work.
And
It's not a shade at Trey White or Melvin Council or Jaden Dawson or any of the new guys who are coming in, but it's just like that's the fact of the matter.
but it's almost kind of they're also kind of getting their props though, is because people were like, okay, why didn't we go and get the top recruits? Well,
Yeah.
look what happened. I'm glad that we got out and just got some high because one thing that I noticed, and I think it was said on Twitter, is as the season went on, that team did not like each other. Now I don't want to knock on wood, I don't want to jinx it, but they brought in some high energy guys. Like, how can you not like a guy like Melvin Council who wants to play defense 24/7 and is just a high energy guy? He's only received praise. Obviously, there's improvements he can make on the floor. He's only received praise though. So I'm glad that we didn't go out. I mean, we did try to get some of those top guys and we whiffed, but I think it almost worked out for a better sake. Not saying that now, obviously, if we had that Darian Williams, Keyshawn Hall, can we go farther? Is our ceiling higher? Potentially, but I think it kind of worked out perfectly the way it is. In my opinion, we're kind of flying under the radar, and I love it. I do not want to be highly ranked until at least middle towards the end of the season. I didn't even like last year being ranked number one,
Okay.
strictly because of what happened. I thought our team was really good. I thought it could be, but I think it's kind of that jokingly that number one curse. I love that we're at 19th. I was telling my roommate, my prediction when the preseason poll came out is our ceiling was gonna be 16, our floor was gonna be 21,
Okay.
and we flew right in at 19.
And that's fine.
I love that.
I think the ceiling for this Kansas team is super high. I think the floor for this Kansas team is really low.
It's a
I
it's
think
a shaky boat.
it's going to be interesting to see how it actually plays out. Now, we talked about it a little bit when I was saying we don't know who's going to be that number two option. But the question I proposed to us was who's going to be Darren Peterson's Robin? And that's where it's really up for grabs. You have a lot of new guys coming in,
hmm
but I can't help but notice that the only player that really comes to my mind is Cole Rosario.
That's exactly what I was gonna say. Is he still has lived up to the hype, but I've seen nothing good about him. Someone said today in a tweet, they're like, he has been praised. I asked, Bill Self if he's that guy, and he's like, yeah. I mean, he said he's Christian Brown, but can shoot better. He's just not as powerful, and he's going to continue to get better.
And
but
Christian Brown just signed a contract for
he's
$125 million.
it's
So,
ridiculous. It's a crazy praise.
yeah,
And but the nice thing to hear is that many analysts who I shouldn't say hate KU, but don't credit them as much. I feel like rightfully so, but I don't think John Rothstein's the biggest fan. I don't think Francilla, however you say his name, is the biggest fan. They both were saying that obviously Darren Peterson was great, and they say that Cole Rosario does not look like a reclassified freshman. He
no.
looks like he's been around here before.
And that's what you want to hear.
That's
And you
great.
said that Cole is one of the best shooters on the team. So,
Yeah, and he's a high flyer. He's so athletic, and he's lengthy. He sounds like he knows what he's doing when he's here, which is great to hear because we touched on that earlier, and I had to think about it. And now that we're here saying it, I think that it's going to be a lot. There can be some pressure to it because it's a big expectation. I think that his Robin is Cole Rosario, and if not, I think it is Jaden Dawson because he needs to step up. He's the second highest out of those transfers. He has the highest 3-point percentage, and it's like 36.
I don't know. It's going to be very interesting to see how that all unfolds because I agree with you. I think Cole Rosario is that Robin, but then we also have different pieces depending on what we need. So I think this team can be dramatically different than the team a year ago.
100%.
And
I mean, it will look way different.
perfect. You
And
talked
so, just
about,
touching quickly before we move on, because I never fully gave what you said. So, going off of what we just talked about, I just wanted to throw in there my ceiling, my floor. My ceiling is Elite Eight. I don't know how many games we can hold off for. We need to be really consistent. I want to say Final Four. I'm going Elite Eight. And the floor is round of 32. I think at least finally, as students, we can say we're finally going to see a team that gets past the first weekend, which saying that, considering we go to the University of Kansas, is ridiculous. But yeah, that's the sad reality. And
okay,
I think that yeah, we get at least past the first weekend. We could get to the Elite Eight. And then I think going off of those preseason polls that we mentioned earlier, I think that we could easily finish top three. I think it could go Houston Tech us.
okay.
That's what I'm gonna say.
I mean, yeah, I'm not going to hate that at all.
And that's high. Like it could easily flip. I could easily be slapped in the face with that. But
Absolutely. We're going to have to see how it plays out. You
for
touched
sure.
on Taylor Kinney a little bit. You're way more of a recruiting expert, so to say, than I am, as you write for Sports Illustrated. Talk about this Taylor Kinney commitment, how important it is to Kansas that we're seeing dudes still being like still buying in to Kansas's culture. And then if you have any updates on Tyron Stokes or any other recruits that Kansas is looking at, I'd love to hear them.
For sure. So obviously Taylor Kinney, he committing to that class, like, and this is biased, but I think people actually agree with it too. I think him committing by himself made KU a top 10 recruitment class for 2026 as of right now, just because there's not a lot of noise. And he's ridiculous. I was listening to a podcast the other week on the way back from fall break, and someone goes, I saw Taylor Kinney at his worst. He had a bad stretch over a weekend last summer at an Adidas tournament. And he goes, I wasn't even that impressed with them, and I would still rate him as the top player I saw that weekend. That's how like scary good he is. Because everyone has those bad stretches. And I think he luckily he's still a senior. He has time to grow. He's slowly turning into that three-way player, but he's praised as a facilitator. He's a great floor general. He'll find the right guy. And so with that, he commits on that Sunday. And that marks one of the greatest stretches I've ever seen in recruitment. Like it's biased, but we get him. He says, I already know someone that's coming. I'm working on Stokes. I'm working on a couple things. And it was rumored to be and turned out to be that that was Davian Atkins, who would commit a week later. But that stretch is ridiculous. You get him. You get Trent Perry, a local kid. Now he's not great offensively, but he's just lengthy. He's good. He wreaks havoc on defense. It turns into offense. You have him. You get Javon Bardwell, who's 2027, rumored to potentially be 2026, who could join that class. And then you get Davian Atkins to top it off, 4-star center or 5-star center.
I mean,
Or but
you're not wrong. The stretch that Bill Self had that like 2, 3 week stretch Bill Self went on, unbelievable.
Ridiculous, ridiculous
Unbelievable.
week.
It was amazing. It was
And that
unbelievable.
made the class ridiculous. And even if Barbell stays in 2027, it'd be fine. There's some 2027 noise for KU, specifically out of prolific prep, where the Vance and Peterson played. Um, but other than that, the 2026 class may not be done yet. Newer recruit. So obviously we'll get the big ones out of the way. Ethan Taylor, 7-1 center from KC, played at one of the Kansas City schools, now plays at Link Academy with Trent Perry, who's coming next year.
Mhm.
Um, KU was heavily into it. Seems they kind of backed off. Ethan Taylor's made several visits just in the span of this year. He came over the summer a couple times, made a surprise visit for the Wagner game, I believe it was for football, and then was there the same weekend, was there for the Cincinnati game. And so he's his recruitment's still open. He'd be a great get, 7-1 center. He'd be very good. I mean, obviously, you don't know what's gonna happen to Flory. He might leave. That'd be a great fill-in to work with Paul and Baya too, because Mbaya will definitely stay,
Mhm.
unless he leaves for the portal. But then a new name on campus. He's recently been in is Luke Barnett out of, and I'm
Yeah.
gonna butcher this because I always say it. I think it's Mater Dei High School in California.
Okay. Yeah.
He can shoot the lights out. And this was kind of picked up quickly. He was in for late night of the fog, was his visit, but he's a sharpshooter. I mean,
Yeah.
I think he's around like 6'3", 6'4", but he's an elite. He's elite behind the arc. I think over the summer with Mater Dei, he went for 56, set some type of
A lot
scoring
of
record.
points.
He can shoot it. So that'd be definitely that's for KU. Anyone interested in KU recruitment, that's the name to watch right now in the 26 class. Obviously, recruitment never ends. Bill Self needs to get ready for 2027,
Yeah,
whether
he's
he
always
will be
on
there
it, isn't he?
for it or not. Um, and then I know you mentioned obviously the biggest name of them all, and I kind of was going to save him for last is Tyron Stokes.
Mhm.
And in my opinion, and it's not really much of an opinion, it's pretty popular. It's us or Kentucky.
Okay. If you had to put a percentage on which way you think he's leaning, what would you have to say? I saw a few Kentucky pages say that they are pretty confident that they will end up with Tyron Stokes, but I know that we touched on Taylor Kinney and Tyron
And
Stokes
they're
being
both
together.
Kentucky kids. They're both Kentucky kids. And from what I've learned is that because even though Stokes signed with Nike, I kind of overreacted and I was like, oh, we're done. But that doesn't really mean much because Cooper Flagg was signed with New Balance and he went to Duke.
True.
I would still place that I would say 75-25 Kentucky.
Okay.
I think we can be out of the picture. But it's so random. His recruitment is really random.
It really
Like,
is.
I would not be shocked. I have no idea what his was going on with his day. I would not be shocked if he just randomly commits
Yeah.
to either school. Like you'll wake up one day on Twitter and you'll see that Tipton has posted or he posted that, yo, I'm
Yeah.
going to Kentucky. Yo, I'm going to Kansas.
And that's not crazy. He's been really weird about his recruitment so far. So why would we expect anything different from Tyron Stokes? I don't know.
But yeah, in my opinion, I believe it because I think Oregon kind of fell out because they could toss some money, but then Taj Arija commits there. They're kind of the same position. I think Louisville kind of just fell out. So yeah, us in Kentucky is the word on the street. So
Well,
whatever, so all the KU burners are saying.
yeah, I mean, that's
But
the word that I've
all the
been
Kentucky
hearing.
burners are saying. But yeah,
I mean,
no.
that's
So it
what
should
I've been
be.
hearing.
I think it will be a fight to the end. Do I think he goes to Kentucky? Yeah, but that's nothing to shame because that would be a ridiculous 2026 class. But we already have a pretty good 2026 class.
Yeah, I mean, the class that we talked about is already elite.
100%.
Tyron Stokes would be the cherry on top. But
Yeah. Oh
no,
my.
for now.
Yeah.
If he wants
100%.
to come play for Kansas, be my guest. But we don't desperately need Tyron Stokes to be a Jayhawk.
He said he liked it too, but yeah, no, it's not at this point, it's not the Darian Williams. We're all sitting there waiting to see where he's gonna go because we really want him and he goes to NC State and we're like, it's over.
Exactly. I agree. Well, thank you for giving me a breakdown in Kansas recruiting. I know it's you see it pop up on the timeline, and that's kind of all you see. But getting a real insight on some of these guys, who they are, what they can do is actually really helpful. Now, we
So,
didn't talk about this when we initially talked about the exhibition game. I want to hear a score prediction from you. I know we're working the game. What do you think the final score is in Louisville, Kentucky?
Louisville team is nothing to sell short on, I guess I should say. They have it's gonna be a star-studded matchup. We got Darian Peterson. They have wow, I'm blanking on his name. He's the second rated point guard in this
Kelly
class.
Brown.
Yeah, I don't know why I blanked twice today. Sounds bad. But I want to say we get the job done. I'll say hmm, I'll say 73 to 65.
KU.
KU wins.
That's kind of where I'm thinking, just vice versa. I don't think Bill Self really cares about the exhibition game.
Yeah,
Never.
that's not ridiculous to say either. I didn't even think about it like that. He really doesn't. He's probably gonna go out there and like he has a starting five and that'll be the five for the season so far. But I think he could very well could just go out and experiment.
Absolutely. I just
Get
don't.
El Marco back into the game.
Mhm. I just don't
Yeah,
think Bill Self necessarily cares that much about this exhibition game, and especially after the year that Louisville had a year ago, where they dominated ACC play, losing the ACC championship game to Duke, and get boat raced in the first round of the NCAA tournament. I think this game means a lot more to Pat Kelsey and Louisville than it does to KU. So I'm going to go 75-68 Louisville.
that's not crazy.
It's really, if that happens, it's not the end of the world. And it's not that I think that this Kansas team is not going to be great. It's just, I don't think exhibition games really matter that much.
Yeah, they really do. It's not too much to trip about. Now, if we get killed, might worry a little bit.
We can
But if
start
we lose a game like that, I'll be like, yeah, you know what? Louisville's a good team. We were out there experimenting.
exhibition. Come on.
I'd love to see the El Marco. Now, we're not going to get that right, but I'd love to see an El Marco that was yet supposed to be a lottery pick. I'd love to see him get some swagger back in this game.
Yes, I would love to see that as well. I don't think we're going to get that
No, I don't think we
in
will.
an exhibition game for sure. I think it's going to take a
It
few
is what it
games for
is.
El Marco to settle in, but I'm excited. I think this
Oh,
can't
Kansas basketball's back. I
play
can't
for.
wait.
I cannot wait for Friday. I can't wait for the rest of the season. And do you have any more final thoughts, closing thoughts before we wrap up here?
I feel like we kind of touched it all. I mean, I was really just going to talk about how I thought this team was flying under the radar, which we both kind of mentioned. I like it's going to sound confusing, like I can't make up my mind, but I think we're fairly rated, yet almost flying under the radar. Like I like that we weren't, I guess, just overrated. Like I'm fine that we fell in that sixth spot. Do I think we're could be a little higher? Yeah, but that's cool. I'm not going to complain about it because I don't want to see that we're number one everywhere because we're not.
Absolutely. Well, I appreciate you taking the time to join me today.
Yes, thank you for having me on.
Absolutely. I will link your articles down below. I'll link your Twitter down below. Emmett, I really do appreciate you taking, what was it, hour and a half out of your day to sit down and talk to me,
Oh, it took
help me
more.
write this little thing up. So I appreciate it.
Yeah, I'll
All the
talk. I'll talk
viewers,
KU hoops any day.
yeah, to the viewers, Kansas basketball is back, and we will have videos throughout the entire season. So we will see you guys later.